Hello everybody, before we get started real quickly, I just want to let you know this is a different kind of reaction thing. I know if you've seen me react to videos on the channel before, most of it is me making fun of completely stupid, irresponsible retards that just sort of say the most insane things that propagate in their minds. Today is not that. Today is actually a video I quite enjoy. A video made by a good friend of the channel, Ice Cold Snake. Covered a lot of his videos, almost every single one of them, on stream on the weekends when we do video nights. And I just wanted to take this opportunity here, before the reaction plays, to say, go check out his channel. It'll be linked down below. It'll be linked up in the icon thing in the corner there. There's probably a photo of his face somewhere on screen. Go check it out. The video itself, going over all of the different weird, wacky side modes in the Mortal Kombat series, is a damn good video. It made me laugh quite a bit. He was there in chat with us while we were streaming, talking about it, having a good time. He does a lot of retrospectives also on other, like, classic Xbox 360, PlayStation 2 era games, and they're all just fantastic videos of just going back in time and looking at some games that are interesting, to say the least. But it's all good stuff. And I think more people should watch a channel like this, especially if you're into the more retrospective type stuff. But without further ado, I'm going to stop yapping, and we can just get right into it. We're going to get into this and look at Ice's video on Mortal Kombat side modes are really weird. Try to not make it a 3-hour reaction.
Mortal Kombat is well known as a bloody, gory, spine-ripping, fatality-filled affront to modern society and morals. At least that's what was said by the overreacting pro-clutchers who thought our youth were being destroyed by these on-screen war crimes.
Shame on people that produce that trash. It's child abuse in my judgment.
How many?
Dude, I love, like, the purity panic in the 90s with, like, Mortal Kombat and Doom. And, like, in the 2000s with GTA and Call of Duty. We spend however much. Who the fuck is that guy's name? Jake Thompson? John Thompson? We spend so much money to prepare our Marines to go to the Middle East, but you get the same thing for $60. And it's like, no, you fucking can't. You really trying to say that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is the same as sending your child to, like, Marine boot camp? Are you fucking for real right now? You stupid troglodyte. Like, what?
Times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
But the over-exaggerated panic about it corrupting our youth isn't even the weirdest thing in the history of Mortal Kombat. This is a series that features deadly penguin eggs, turning your opponent into a baby, hugging teddy.
Your parents say that about Fortnite? Dude, I mean, it's existed forever. And they used to have that same complaint about D&D, how it's teaching you spellcraft and how to commune with the devil. There's a story where kids laugh at a guy's baldness and God summoned 3 bears. What? So if I ask you bear or man, God's answer is the bear. Fortnite causes so much violence. Yeah, when I see Hank Hill, Peter Griffin, Kratos, Master Chief, Doom Guy, and Hatsune Miku. I can't even. And Ariana Grande hitting the gritty. That's what creates school shooters, man. That's what. that's where the issues in America stem from.
Bears, and Kratos murdering Freddy Krueger by throwing him in front of a speeding taxi.
Kratos wins. Flawless victory.
And somehow, those still aren't the weirdest things in Mortal Kombat. So today, we're going to be digging through all of the chaotic side
chess combat? Did that just say chess combat?
Modes that this franchise has ever spawned. Because Mortal Kombat isn't just a fighting game. Mortal Kombat is peak chaos.
This is amazing. I'm so excited for this video.
It was at this moment.
Big Whoop, wanna fight about
it? I didn't know. Chess? I didn't know. So I know Mortal Kombat has had its side of goofiness. I mean, I'm only really intimately familiar with, like, Mortal Kombat 9 and forward. Again, I was... When did Mortal Kombat 9 come out? 2010-ish? Watched the intro multiple times and listened closely. What did I listen close for? I could hear, like, the 2011? Yeah, I was 9 years old when Mortal Kombat 9 came out. Ice wants me to make sure I pick up on all his little editing tricks. By the way, I completely understand the amount of like times I've like worked really hard on an edit, and I'm like, man, nobody cared about that. Trust me, I understand. I understand the plight. Hold on, we're whipping out the good headphones so that I can listen to every inch of this masterpiece that Ice has made for us to consume and enjoy on a Saturday night. Star Wars at one point made a video game of chess with Star Wars characters. The Star Wars thing doesn't surprise me because Star Wars is everywhere and it's done everything, so Star Wars having like a Star Wars chess game doesn't surprise me. It's Mortal Kombat having chess on the inside of a Mortal Kombat game that is surprising. Let's start from the top.
Mortal Kombat is well known as a bloody, gory, spine-ripping, fatality-filled affront to modern society and morals. At least that's what was said.
The fucking Coltrane Woo, is that it?
Faker, what was that?
Before we dive into all of the weird and chaotic modes of the Mortal Kombat series, I'd like to thank my channel members for supporting videos like this.
Hell yeah, guys. Hell yeah. By the way, I'm going to drop this in chat. Everybody, please stop by Snake's video and just drop a like on it. And watch the whole thing a second time if you really want to. This is really good so far. One of my favorite videos you've ever made. It fits the whole theme of like chaos, you know?
Join these combatants on screen for only $1 a month. Let's start all the way back to when I was just a twinkle in my dad's eye. The first Rockstar taste of chaos came in the form of Test Your Might in the original Mortal Kombat in 1992. This mode popped up occasionally between fights, and you had to button mash to fill a bar to smash through a stack of boards, bricks, or other materials. If you succeeded, you moved on, but if you failed, you got laughed at for being such a wimp.
Whippy, whippy, whippy!
It was chaotically tense for what amounted to just a simple side distraction between fights. It returned in Mortal Kombat 2, but with more objects and with more variety. Then in 2002's Deadly Alliance, it came back before it again went on hiatus until Mortal Kombat 9 in 2011. Well, a variation did appear in the 2005 spin-off Shaolin Monks, but we're not really talking about the spin-offs today.
Okay, Mortal Kombat coming up. I like that. You got tired of editing near the end? Yeah, the editing always drags on. Dude, I gotta say, Test Your Might has always been one of my fucking favorite things. I'm so glad it's in MK1 and it like in the whatever it's called Conquest mode. Turn on captions, it's a good idea. In the Conquest mode or whatever, that like they'll sprinkle in Test Your Mights and shit like that in between the regular fights. It does really well for like breaking up the pacing and also just being a fun little gimmick that's like it's very Mortal Kombat in the way that it is.
Its appearance in Mortal Kombat 9, it's shown up again in Mortal Kombat X and in MK1, where failure is now met with a gruesome death.
He ain't gonna be in Rush Hour 3.
But MK9 didn't just bring back Test Your Might, it also added 2 new modes that pushed the chaos even further. Test Your Sight and Test Your Luck. Test Your Sight was a simple shell game. Track the object under a set of moving cups, which sounds easy enough, but if you've ever been to a sporting event where they do this on the big screen, you'll know just how tough these can get. Test Your Luck was basically a chaos generator. A slot machine would spin before the fight, applying random modifiers like missiles falling from the sky, headless fighters, or no jumping allowed. It was the definition of unpredictable chaos. They would later take this modifier idea.
You know, I kind of want that again. Fucking headless and armless. I know they've got the modifiers and stuff in MK 11 and 1, but the totally unhinged bullshit, I want that back.
And implement it into the Towers of Time mode from MK 11, a mode that I
play MK1. I'm pretty sure it's not like, I don't know if there's anything as extreme, but from what I'm thinking, there was like the similar type of thing. I'm trying to think now. You've got me confused. It was like stage effects though, but I'm pretty sure it still exists. It definitely exists for like the boss fights that you have in the Conquest mode. But fuck, now I'm drawing a blank on like the missiles and shit that it would shoot at you. I don't think it's as prolific as it was in MK11. I remember it got annoying in MK11. but MK1 still has some of it at least. Stage effects, MK11, MK1, yeah. But there's nothing that like affects your character necessarily in the same way where you have like headless and armless and bullshit like that. Like that's the kind of stuff, the slot machine, yeah. That's the kind of stuff that's really interesting that I wish would come back, you know?
Absolutely hated, by the way. But while the test your modes weren't all that deep or rewarding, they did set the tone that Mortal Kombat was about having fun in the weirdest ways possible.
Test your might.
What do you get when you mash together Mortal Kombat and Mario Kart? Well, at least it matches my eyes. Ah, yes, the cleverly named Motor Kombat from the 2006 entry Armageddon saw the characters shrunk down and placed into themed cars for a Mario Kart-style action racing game. And yeah, this was just straight wild, wacky, weird, and chaotic.
I love this. Oh, the captions have... That's good. MK9 was unique for its time. It was definitely out there. It's like with MK9, it was goofy. MK10 was a little less goofy. MK11 was like kind of not super goofy. And then MK1, they're back to being like, we can be a little goofy. Like MK11 definitely had like its goofy moments, but they were kind of like off to the side. Whereas I feel like in MK1, it's a lot more prevalent.
Each character has their own special moves because, of course they do. This is Mortal Kombat after all. With Sub-Zero firing his iconic ice ball and Scorpion doing what Scorpion does best.
MKX is the logo. I definitely remember not having as much fun with it as I did MK11 or even MK1. MK1 I've had a lot of fun with. It's just that like everything else about the game, like the unlocks and like the removal of the crypt and like the focus on like the fucking overpriced store bullshit has really hurt that game for me. But I really like these carts. It would be so fucking fun to see the carts return in like a fatality type way, like how you have all the different animalities and stuff or friendships in MK1 and MK11 to have cart-alities, I guess, where you have all the different characters summon their own special carts to kill their opponent with. Mortal Kombat Zero bag. Yeah. I'm getting the sense that Mortal Kombat is Ice's game for sure.
Even the tracks got the Mortal Kombat treatment, featuring death traps that will set you back if you fall or you get bumped into them. And as you soon discover, you can actually use your special abilities to force other players into them. Armageddon was the second game in the series to feature online play, and thankfully they also added online play to the Motor Kombat mode. Of course, this was back when playing online was free and it only required a Sony Online account. One of my earliest memories of playing online on the PlayStation 2 is playing Motor Kombat online and hearing all of
You would make makeshift makeshift Scorpion and Sub-Zero gauntlets. That's great. We've all done something like that at some point, you know?
the older people talking mad shit over the headsets. Motor Kombat wouldn't be the only weird thing about Armageddon. Actually, it's probably easier to say what wasn't weird about Armageddon. So let's tackle a couple of other oddities from the game that aren't technically weird modes, but when the hell else am I going to be able to talk about them? Armageddon featured a mode called Create a Fighter. It's exactly what it sounds like.
I got a fever.
Have you ever played one of those WWE games where you get to create the most wretched abomination to ever grace a video game? Yeah, it's kind of like that. There are all sorts of options to customize this created character's appearance and even more options for defining their moveset, with some limits in place to prevent a character from being broken. Oh, and those limits didn't work anyway.
Look at all this damage!
But what about their fatalities? Well, that's where Armageddon's Create a Fatality feature comes in. Instead of having the incredibly iconic fatalities that are designed by the Mortal Kombat developers and actual, game designers, Armageddon instead put the control in the player's hands. When that voice rings out, you can hit various button combinations to pull off different moves and chain them together into your own unique fatality, complete with a final score and some coins awarded. There's this timer overhead that gets fast.
Create a Fatality is fucking amazing. What? Thank you, guys. Well, good to know that about the shirts. But Creative Fatality, I keep getting distracted. I'm in like ADHD mode tonight. Creative Fatality sounds fucking amazing. I would love to see that come back. There's no personality in the Creative Fatality. I don't know. It's something like you could definitely make it more robust in like a future installment. No special abilities from the characters. Yeah. I could see that being like they all feel the same no matter what character you're playing as. And you could definitely change that in like a modern game. But I feel like that'd be really, really interesting as like even as like a gimmick type thing. Like if the characters still have their generic, like, or not generic, but like their personal fatalities, and then you have like your special creative fatality thing on top of it. I think it's just kind of like it's a neat idea. If it came back, it'd be good. Yeah, if you could flesh it out, it would be good. It's like Gears of War Judgment. If you just let it cook a little bit, you've got a good idea there.
Faster and faster the farther you get into the chain, and if you fail to continue the chain, you'll just fail the fatality and your opponent falls over on their back. Really, the goal was to get to a 10-hit combo and then pull off a finishing blow to score an 11-hit ultimate fatality and earn more coins for the crypt. It really wasn't as cool as they thought it would be. Most of the time, you just get into the habit of doing the same combinations over and over once you'd gotten them down. That, and they took forever compared to fatalities from the other entries in the series. My go-to combo that I can remember pulling off involved pulling out a sword and then slicing off both their arms before killing them. Getting an ultimate fatality online was definitely BMing your opponent, and it was made even harder by the latency added by the relatively new console online architecture and everyone having really crappy state-of-the-art broadband. Armageddon chose to have 62 playable characters, the entirety of the Mortal Kombat universe at that point. But without any memorable fatalities, most casual gamers were left disappointed by the entry. The next mode we're going to talk about is a weird one, but it's also really big and it has nothing to do with fighting. It's actually just about unlocking stuff. It's called the Crypt. The idea is simple. You earn coins, spelled with a K of course, by playing the game.
The captions. I mean, it's like those little details, like that little bit of passion that just is fantastic. Let's see, the Mortal Kombat 9 Crypt was like weird, and you always had like the random demon bat that would show up, or Toasty would show up. The MK10 one I never touched because it was like first person, and like when I played it, it actually got me scared because I was like 12. But like the MK10 Crypt I never spent a lot of time with, because like when I first played MK10 I was like, I'm not fucking with this. I'm not fighting spiders in first person. I'm playing Mortal Kombat, not Resident Evil. And then like the MK11 one I really liked, with like the whole explore and like slowly unlocking it as you go through it. I think in MK1 it's totally removed. It just doesn't exist. There is like the Conquest map, which is kind of like somewhere in between like a Mortal Kombat campaign and also the Crypt, because it does kind of act like the Crypt in the way that you can find things and explore around the map a little bit to unlock like secrets and stuff. But it's not the Crypt nearly in the same way. And I wish it did. Your favorite MK9 line for Stryker is him saying police brutality coming up. You see why he didn't come back? I mean, he did come back. He's in MK1. I don't think Stryker's character making a joke. Well, the character isn't making a joke, but the joke of the character is him committing police brutality is like cancelable or anything like that. Played MKX for like 4 hours total. Elder God status for 2 seasons. Yeah, I mean, he's a cop. I still don't see why that would stop him. We just had like 2 big RoboCop games come out. But yeah, MKX, I like liked it because it was like interesting, and I was like a teenager at the time. It was like, ooh, gore blood. But like, I think the one time I played with a buddy of mine who played Scorpion and MKX with like the 2 sword loadout, and he just sort of abused me for like 5 minutes, and I was like, okay, I never want to play Mortal Kombat ever again.
Then you spend those coins in a special mode to unlock characters, costumes, concept art, and other bonuses. But the way you unlock them is what made it unique. The Crypt first appeared in Deadly Alliance in 2002. It was super bare bones by today's standards, just a grid of graves presented in a first-person menu. You'd highlight a coffin, spend your coins, and receive the reward inside. Sometimes it was cool, sometimes it was garbage.
I can't believe it either.
Can of squid.
Not cool. Totally lame.
There were also different colored coins like ruby, sapphire, jade, and onyx, and each were tied to different types of rewards and they were earned in different ways throughout the game. This added a weird layer of grinding and planning, especially if you were trying to unlock something specific. I can still remember getting up at like 5 a.m. and sneaking out to the living room while the rest of my family was asleep so I could grind away at the combo practice in the conquest mode to earn more coins and open more coffins. And opening up one of the coffins, I remember finding the new character, Frost. It felt like a treasure hunt, and in a way it was. And since there were 676 coffins to open, it ended like most high school prom nights with a lot of shame and disappointment. So instead, you'd go on the internet, booting your family off the phone so that you can print a guide from GameFAQs. And yes, I do mean print a guide on paper. 2 years later, the crypt would return in Mortal Kombat Deception, and to be honest, it wasn't all that different from the crypt from Deadly Alliance, with the only notable change being a welcome reduction in coffins down to 400, but you still wanted a guide so you didn't have to open all 400 to find that one fatality that you were missing. But Mortal Kombat Armageddon in 2006 would see the mode return in the most watered-down, half-assed way possible, simply presenting the options as squares on a few different walls to be unlocked with the singular gold coins this time. And it's just another reason why Armageddon was such a letdown. Fast forward 5 years to Mortal Kombat 9 and the crypt would show back up, this time returning to the original first-person perspective, but really amping up the presentation by separating all of the unlockables into 4 different themed areas on this island. Gone are the chests and the gravestones, instead replaced with hanging bodies, torture victims, and bloated corpses to be opened for loot. It's just really cool going through this area and checking the map to get some loot and seeing all the... Oh yeah.
Yeah. God damn it. I was so invested in the video. I should have expected that to show up. Fuck you, Ice. God damn.
And there's this fucker that pops up every now and then just to scare the ever-living shit out of you. I think my brain must have had a trauma response and blocked this guy from memory because I completely forgot about him and nearly woke up my whole house when I ran into him while replaying this game for this video. Mortal Kombat X in 2015 would also feature the crypt, this time experienced more like a first-person adventure game, but it wasn't really a first-person adventure mode since you could only turn your character 90 degrees and walk in straight lines. It kind of reminds me of the window.
I forgot I put him there at one point after that. Dude, that caught me off guard. I was so invested in like the way that the crypt used to be or whatever. Fucking, it's like a flashback.
Windows 95 screensaver game, a game that is now 30 years old and a reference that I'm sure only about 10% of you are going to understand. Throughout the MKX crypt adventure, you would need to find various objects to unlock new paths, like finding Scorpion's dagger lodged in this guy's skull, and there were these random enemies that would pop up forcing you to press a button for a QuickTime event. And just a little off topic, but they added QuickTime events to the story mode of MKX, and I always hated that. Overall, this was a very good implementation of the crypt, but you could still tell it was missing a little something extra that would fulfill the vision of the Mortal Kombat team. And
it was very well implemented.
in 2019, that vision finally came to fruition in Mortal Kombat 11. This time as a full-blown third-person adventure mode. You could actually walk around as a character on Shang Tsung's island, no less, exploring environments pulled straight from Mortal Kombat's most iconic stages, like the Pit, Goro's Lair, and the Dead Woods. There were locked doors, hidden levers, puzzles to solve, and creepy jump scares that made the whole thing feel like a part dungeon crawler, part fan service museum. One incredibly weird mechanic was the Shrine of Severed Heads. If you performed 50 fatalities against a specific character in the Towers of Time, their severed head would appear on a spike in the crypt, and you could take that head and place it on a matching pedestal in the Warrior Shrine.
There was a way to break it. I forget how it was done, and I think it's been patched out still. Jesus. What do you call it? It was patched out like the same morning I did it, but it was possible to, like, if you, like, held a button combination soon enough after loading into the crypt, that you could plant one head on the spike and it would, like, glitch out and let you just plant every head on every spike. And that's how I got that done in MK11. I did not perform 50 fatalities on every character. I glitched it out and I just cheated. Yeah. It was only available, like, I think it was, people were only able to pull it off like 2 or 3 times because it was patched out like almost immediately after the exploit was found. And I literally did it like 12 hours before the final one was patched out. And I was like, I'm going to go into this and I'm getting all the rewards, baby. To like 25 after 2 months later. Yeah, I mean, I've probably done the amount of fatalities eventually on the characters and stuff. But I wasn't going to sit there and grind for it. I don't even remember what the rewards for the head was. Wasn't it just like a single skin for each of the characters, or like a set of gear?
Which would unlock chests with higher tier rewards.
Yeah, it would be like a set of gear and a skin. It was never anything like that incredible. So it's like, I don't feel too bad about cheating it.
Some skins, augments, gear pieces unique to that character. But what sucked about it is when the game launched, there was no in-game counter tracking your progress towards unlocking a head. Making things worse, there was also a trophy or an achievement tied to completing this against all 25 characters when the game launched. It was fucking cruel. Most of the chests scattered around the island were randomized and full of junk. You could spend your hard-earned currency on a fancy-looking chest only to get some lame consumable that was only usable in the Towers of Time. That randomness made the progression so fucking frustrating. That said, not all of the chests were random. Some had fixed rewards, and you could still go online to find guides pointing out where specific items were hidden. But on top of all of this, there were also microtransactions that let people buy specific currencies with real-world money. It gave the whole system a bit of this gross cash grab.
I don't remember. Was anything locked in the... I don't remember if anything from the store... B dipping out. All right, we'll see you next time, B. Saturday, should be. I don't remember if any of the skins, because I thought in MK11 all the skins that showed up in the store were skins that you could acquire anyways, but it just gave you the option to buy them straight out if you wanted to buy them rather than finding them in the crypt or something like that. But I don't, as far as I remember, that's how it was. I don't remember if there was any that were like unique or exclusive to the store.
Heavy feel, especially when you paired it with the randomized loot and the grind-heavy Towers of Time mode. But still, the crypt in Mortal Kombat 11 was a dream come true for longtime fans like me. The next mode we're going to talk about is the faction systems from Mortal Kombat X. This mode was Mortal Kombat X's attempt to turn single-player and multiplayer progression into a community-wide competition. Remember that Mortal Kombat X came out in 2015, so it was right at the height of companies looking to figure out live service offerings. At the start of the game, you got to pick between one of the 5 factions: the Lin Kuei, like Sub-Zero, the Black Dragons, like Cabal and Kano, the Brotherhood of Shadow, led by Quan Chi, the Special Forces, like Jax and Sonya, or the White Lotus, the faction started by Raiden to protect Earthrealm. Once selected, everything you did in-game, from story mode to online fights to even just training, X-ray modes, fatalities, all of it, contributed points to your faction's global total. Each week, the faction with the most points would win a global war and get bonus coins and rewards. Occasionally, a global faction invasion event would trigger, where one faction attacked the others and players had to complete objectives, special towers, and fight an invasion boss to push them back. It made the world of Mortal Kombat feel just a little bit more alive, like you were part of something bigger. But the coolest part to me was the faction kill system, a system that allowed you to have special fatalities unique to your chosen faction. You started out with 2 faction kills for your faction, and you can unlock up to 3 more by leveling up your rank within your faction, which gave the whole system a little bit of progression.
I like doing all the fatalities on Alien so you can get away with not having to change the hue of the video.
Players stayed loyal to one faction just to climb the ladder and show off their exclusive fatalities. But while the faction mechanic didn't dramatically change how you played the game, it was a cool layer of identity and offered something that you couldn't get anywhere else in the series. But unfortunately, it just fizzled out over time. Most players weren't actively tracking the war and just played their own way, and people...
This video is 8 of 10 in my releases. Yeah, I mean, that's just... the amount of videos that it's a video I make in 6 hours, and it's like a 1 out of 10. And it's like, why? I spent 2 weeks on that one, and it's a fucking 7 out of 10, or an 8 out of 10, or a 10 out of 10. It's like, why? Why do you do this to me? like YouTube would like show you, it's like, people like this kind of video, make this kind of video again. I'm like, okay, make it again. It's like, no, actually, people don't like that kind of video. Don't ever make it again. It's like, what the fuck are you telling me, man? You just said people like Warhammer versus whatever blank. Why do you not care to promote it anymore? Fucking algorithmic bullshit. And I'm not savvy, nor do I care enough to dive deep into like the inner machinations of the algorithm that changes every 2 weeks. Not doing that shit.
People, of course, realized that you could just jump between the factions to earn rewards and trophies, but at least it's one of the most community-driven features that Mortal Kombat has tried to employ in the series. Now, we all know Mortal Kombat can be stressful when you're trying to time out your...
This is completely off topic from the video, the new system that YouTube has where they give you an AI rundown on what people want, it's fucking disgusting. It's like, here's some videos you could try, and it just takes like your 10 most recent videos, or like your 10 most successful videos from the last 6 months, and jumbles together all of like the words and the titles into like something that's SEO friendly, and is like, what if you tried making a YouTube video about this? And it's like, how about you try sucking fat loads, dude? What the fuck are you talking about? Trying to pimp out my own content to me using a chat GPT thing. Inspiration. Yeah, it's fucking stupid. I hate it so much. And it generates like an AI generated thumbnail automatically and everything. And it's like, dude, get this out of my face. Fuck you. And it's like, it offers you like the most shitty ideas of all time. Where it's like, this is not even remotely a good idea. Even if I wanted to embrace the AI-ness of it, it's not even a good idea. Like, why the fuck would I make this video? These all suck.
Your special cancels and hit those frame perfect air juggles, and you just can't let that stress build for too long, or you'll start getting caught by every uppercut that your opponent is spamming.
Scorpion wins.
Luckily, in Mortal Kombat Deception, there's a mode specifically for unwinding from all the carnage, letting you instead play a Tetris-like block puzzle game. Puzzle Combat shrunk down the roster to chibi-style characters that would automatically fight while the players focused on clearing their Tetris boards. Clearing matching blocks by using these breaker coins and setting up combos would send junk blocks to fill your opponent's grid. In classic Mortal Kombat fashion, each character also has their own special powers that could be activated by filling the super meter, like Sub-Zero freezing the enemy's blocks for a few seconds, or Scorpion throwing a spear and jumbling their board. And of course, what would a Mortal Kombat...
Dude, that's so fucking cool. What the fuck? I need this to come back in now. Not even in a Mortal Kombat game, just in like a regular game on its own with like a whole slew of mechanics and stuff. What the fuck?
The Puzzle Combat mode was actually super fun to play. You'd boot it up, you just kind of chill out, vibe, do your thing with your puzzles. It got really tense in some of the harder difficulties whenever your board was starting to get filled. But if you're like me and you like Tetris, this is the game to play. But Mortal Kombat Deception's quirky game modes didn't end there. Maybe Tetris isn't your speed. Maybe you see yourself as more of an intellectual, sophisticated gamer. Well, Mortal Kombat Deception's got you covered with chess combat. In this spin on the classic board game, the number of pieces and the grid size get reduced down, and players assemble their team of combatants that will take the place of the pieces. When two pieces meet on the board, you enter into a normal Mortal Kombat fight, except each fighter will have different starting health pools depending on which chess piece they're acting as. Not only that, but each piece also has special powers available to use on the board, like healing a damaged piece, teleporting to another space, swapping with another piece, or just straight up killing another piece on the board. It all came together into this experience that was actually deeply rewarding by letting you play out your strategy and also letting you fight it out. And just like chess, the goal was to take down the enemy leader, performing a fatality to finish them and win the match. Both puzzle and chess combat also made their way to the PSP port of Deception, Mortal Kombat Unchained. I can remember one of the guys in my 8th grade class
Yeah.
had it on his PSP,
would've
and it
been
was
really
just
cool to see
the
this come
coolest
back.
thing to me to be able to.
All of these, I haven't seen a single one of these side modes. Like, I was expecting these to all be kind of like disappointing. Or like, that's weird, that's goofy. These all seem fucking amazing. I would have a whole Mortal Kombat game of just the side shit come back and like modernized. Like a Crash Team Racing for Mortal Kombat. That sounds amazing.
Play a Mortal Kombat
Amazing.
game in class. I can remember one field trip where we played chess combat for the entire bus ride. And nowadays, you can just play almost any game on your phone, and almost everyone has a Switch or a Steam Deck. But back then, it was just so freaking cool to have a full Mortal Kombat game in your hands. And puzzle and chess combat were perfect road trip games. All of the modes from Mortal Kombat Deception are up there with the best of the best weird modes that we got from Mortal Kombat. They're incredibly distinct and memorable and chaotic. And they're right in the DNA of what makes Mortal Kombat Mortal Kombat. It's pretty clear why most people still say that Deception was the best game, even if it was a little too, mid-2000s edgy and maybe not the best fighting mechanics. There was just so much to offer in Deception. The next mode we're going to talk about is the Invasions mode from Mortal Kombat 1. Invasions is Mortal Kombat 1's attempt at a seasonal single-player live service mode. Imagine a Mortal Kombat flavored board game smashed together with some light RPG elements, some event challenges, and some more tower fights. You navigate a literal map, moving piece by piece across themed boards, fighting battles at each node. Some battles are standard fights, others include modifiers just like the ones from Mortal Kombat 11's Towers of Time, which means they suck. Defeating these nodes unlocks rewards and new paths, and there are some light RPG.
Dude, by the way, there was no reason to change your stats for anything except for just raw attack and special. By the end, I think I did like 2 or 3 of the seasons, like all the way through to the end. I just did ripped raw attack and special and health, maybe. If you were hitting hard enough, it didn't matter.
The elements like equipable talismans that offer buffs or perks, such as gaining more health per win or dealing more elemental damage. But the mode is built around seasonal content with new maps themed to different realms or characters that drop regularly. And each season comes with its own progression path, objectives, and unlockables to keep you on that treadmill. While it offers a lot of variety for single player content, not everyone loves it. I definitely am not enjoying Invasions while I play it right now. I just feel like it leans way too hard into the grind and the live service structure, especially
it is
with
also
all
very grindy. After I did 2 or 3 of the seasons all the way through, and like halfway through the second one, I was kind of over it. Like there's so many fights, and I think by like the 3rd or 4th season or whatever, when I was trying it, I was like, there's way less fights on the map now, which was a good thing. Because like that first season, the amount of fights on just one board that you had to run through because you had to do like every single one, they're never short on creativity. Sounds like good gameplay to fuck around with and add flavor. I mean, yeah, like the Mortal Kombat team, NetherRealm has always been really creative and adding like new stuff or even like bringing back old stuff in new light. But some stuff hits, some stuff doesn't, and it's just disappointing when it doesn't. Or it gets repetitive. Like that's when it's the worst. Clone jumping to stop the missiles. Yeah, the minigame stuff some of that was annoying to me because I would see my character dodge the projectile and then it would kill me anyways, and I was like, okay, fuck you, game.
All of the pressure of finishing seasonal objectives before they expire. And I'm just not really vibing with the whole RPG light mechanics in this. Like, it's not like we haven't already had a Mortal Kombat RPG before this, right? But that said, Invasions is one of the most ambitious side modes in Mortal Kombat history. It's a fusion of RPG, some puzzle, and some unlockable progression systems, but it's just too bad that it pales in comparison to the...
Yeah, it is kind of just like the towers mixed with the crypt, but in a way that feels really grindy and like a slog. I think the way you move around the board hurt me the most because it's like if you even like glanced at going left and you wanted to go right, you had to wait for your character to go all the way left and then turn around and go all the way right and then all the way right again because like there was a chance of you getting stopped in the middle for an ambush or whatever. it was so annoying to move around those maps. It took fucking decades.
RPG type modes that appeared earlier in the series. Which brings us to the conquest modes found in Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon. Fighting games usually have one of two ways of dishing out the story, either through cutscenes during a traditional tournament style mode.
This is not a brutality. This is a fatality.
Or through a crafted story mode that sees you jump between characters as the plot unfolds. Mortal Kombat started out with only the first method, and then starting with Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, they switched over to the now expected story mode method. But in between, they were treading new ground by offering a fully fledged open world third person mode. Okay, so Deadly Alliance isn't exactly a third person adventure mode, but
MK4 is so funny, it's unreal. If the whole game's like that, I'm gonna look up all the cutscenes tonight. That I love like that fucking B-list tier dialogue. It's the fucking greatest. It's why I love Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon so much. There's so much of that dialogue. Like your character is like juiced up on dragon blood. That's why it's called Blood Dragon. And like the villain towards the end is like saying, "You're just like me. You bleed blue just like me. You're just as evil as I am." Like he pulls that whole thing, and the character Rex Power Cult obviously goes, "No, my blood's red, white, and blue." And then the fucking music takes off, and it's like, yeah, that's what I'm here for. MK9 had multiplayer where you had a set of players and each of them face off each other, and who wins becomes King of the Ring. Oh yeah, King of the Hill. I think Injustice, well no, because MK9 came out before Injustice, but yeah, King of the Hill was in all of their multiplayer games. As I think MK1 even still has it. But yeah, King of the Hill is... I don't know if MK9 is the first time they introduced it, but it's in all of the modern games. I think it's even in Injustice and Injustice 2. I remember, because the first time I played the King of the Hill was in the first Injustice game, and then I know it was in MK11 for sure. I didn't play a lot of MK1's multiplayer, though. Like, player v player multiplayer.
Hey, it's called Conquest, and it's their first attempt at making an adventure mode, and I'm just trying to give you all of the information, so cut me some slack. In Deadly Alliance, Conquest was a mode where you played through each of the characters to complete various objectives and missions. The objectives amounted to very simple stuff, like making your opponent drop a certain amount of blood or learning all of a character's combo strings. I have really, really fond memories of being forced to learn every character's combos and the absolute chaos of the combos that required you to switch between all three of the fighting stances, especially for the combos that involved air juggling and stance changes. Those definitely sent 8-year-old me into my first ever existential crisis. In between each mission, this monk would make his journey through the numbered huts, and this in no way actually tied to any story. In fact, there isn't really any story found in this version of Conquest at all. Once you've completed all of the missions for each character, the monk reaches the end of the journey, and there's this really lame cutscene as Blaze performs a meditative ritual, and just like that, you've unlocked 2 new characters for the other modes. The 2 characters being Blaze and the incredibly stupid, tongue-in-cheek embodiment of Midway's chaos, Mocap. It might not have been the most fleshed out system, but it laid the foundation for the next entry, and boy oh boy did they run away with the idea. Mortal Kombat Deception saw the return of the Conquest mode, but this time it was actually a fully fledged third-person RPG. You took control of a new character, Shujinko, on a journey to absorb the powers from those that he defeats in combat. Shujinko is on a quest to gather some legendary artifacts and travels to all the various realms to collect the Kamidogu. He does this at the behest of an elder god that turns out to be a trick by the Dragon King Onaga. And oh boy, that must be the deception that's in the subtitle. Shujinko starts out as a young boy and ages throughout the journey, eventually becoming Pai Mei from Kill Bill. The really cool part about it was just exploring all of the different realms in this open world RPG. There were a ton of chests to find and open, lore to be discovered, and a bunch of side quests. I remember this being the first game that I got to interact with the Tarkatans on Outworld, which was super interesting to me as a kid. And the whole thing was accentuated by some of the worst voice acting to great...
Dude. Hold on. I'm just having... You know how you make... You know how you make an amazing Mortal Kombat game? You take Expedition 33's open world, but instead of Expedition, how you like break out into Expedition style of turn-based combat, it just starts up a Mortal Kombat match. Tell me that wouldn't go hard. That would be a fantastic way of fitting Mortal Kombat's gameplay into like an open world type setting where you're allowed to go through the realms and explore and talk to different characters and stuff like that. That'd be so fucking cool. It would go, yeah, it would go so hard. I just have like a hard boner for Expedition 33 right now. Obviously, collecting the roster into your party, yeah, like going through like an adventure and collecting people. You put the cake. Yeah, building your roster, building out your team and stuff like that. That would be so good. That'd be so hot. That would be amazing. Ed Boon, please, if there's somewhere we can meet in an alleyway behind a Wendy's, we can make this happen. Please let me know so we can get on this right away and make the best Mortal Kombat game ever. Sub-Zero lets you freeze water and cross it. Dude, yes, you could tie the character. Oh my god. Scorpion lets you grapple and like get to like higher ledges. You could get like Fujin to like open wind gates or some bullshit. You know, tie in some things. You could pick up Sonya Blade and now you have the option to like log into computer terminals or some bullshit. Have them all tie into different mechanics. Dude, like the what do you call it? The Lego Star Wars games. That was my favorite bit where it's like you need to pull this lever, but it's got facial recognition, so you need to go get a stormtrooper helmet or bullshit like that. They don't need to all do it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, just spitballing here, but like that would go so incredibly hard. A Metroidvania, yeah, something like that. God, that would be so cool. I just want to play more Expedition 33. That's really what it boils down to.
It's a video game.
Shang Tsung, I will win the Mortal Kombat tournament and free Earthrealm from your tyranny.
If you played this game and you haven't thought about it in years, one really stupid thing that I found while I was finding all the footage, it immediately sent me down memory lane, and it will probably do the same for you. But just remember that you could run up to random guards and people on the streets and you could punch them, and people would just randomly punch you back and send you flying. I could probably go on and on for hours about all of the systems in this conquest mode. I'll just leave it with a very simple is good. Armageddon would also include a conquest mode, again with a change in formula. The conquest mode this time was turned into a linear brawler adventure mode, this time starring another new character named Taven. As you can see by the tattoo on Taven's face, don't mess with him or he might bite your ear off.
I was gonna rip his heart out. I'm the best ever.
Taven's on a journey to defeat Blaze and do some stuff with the Elder Gods and some all-powerful weapons. If you want a full lore dump, this video would take forever. Throughout the journey, you venture into various locales from the Mortal Kombat universe, like the Lin Kuei Palace, where you accidentally free Frost from her prison before meeting up with her former master, Sub-Zero. What made it special were all the little moments of coming face to face with the other characters and watching how they interacted with Taven. Like seeing the powerful Shinnok this way blew me away as a kid. And meeting up with Scorpion and the Shirai Ryu was just... But it definitely felt like a budget 3D brawler, and if it didn't have Mortal Kombat's lore, I doubt anyone would look back on this game fondly. Still, we haven't seen a mode like this since Armageddon, and fans like me are still clamoring for a fully baked open world Mortal Kombat RPG. But since we'll probably never get one, we'll just keep revisiting these older games and picking them apart with a fine-tooth comb, which just...
even the mainline games want to revisit the old ones anyways. Like MK1's plot like entirely revolves around all the shit in Armageddon. They literally go back to the pyramid and do the same fight, but instead of all the different characters, it's like all the different multiversal versions of the characters. So it's like the games themselves don't even want to leave behind the older games either.
Goes to show that Mortal Kombat is so beloved because it gets wacky, wild, and a little chaotic. So with that, we've now covered all of the weird, wacky game modes in Mortal Kombat. If there's one that you really loved, or if there's one that I even missed, let me know in the comments below. Big thanks again to all my channel members who support the channel. If you want to join these awesome people on screen, you can do so for only $1 a month. You can click one of the links on the screen right now to go to another video of mine. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Ice Cold Snake. I'll see you next time.
Hell yeah. Good stuff. I fucking love this video. I think that intro of like juxtaposing Mortal Kombat Mario Kart with the Doom Eternal theme really really caught me off guard in like the best way possible. This is amazing. It's great. But yeah, if you ever want to do Mortal Kombat 11 or MK1, I'm down. I gotta probably re-download MK1 on the PS5, but it should be crossplay, I believe. It'd be confusing if it wasn't. If not, I have MK11 on the 360. Do one for all the times MK characters show up in other games. Like you talk about like when Scorpion shows up in Injustice, like that kind of showing up in another game, like a cameo. Those are the only ones I'm familiar with, is like Scorpion shows up in Injustice 1 and Sub-Zero and Raiden show up in Injustice.